pleasure to see you here, and of course, I should start by welcoming you to Maqala. I know you have had a very busy day, taking stock of some of the activities of UNDP Peace Support Facility here in Tigray. We're in fact grateful to whatever support you've been extending in this regard, and it also is quite an opportunity for me to say thank you to the EU and the representatives of other European countries who are now part of this delegation, and we've been working closely with UNDP's Peace Support Facility since the of course the beginning of the implementation of the cessation of hostilities agreement. Of course, your visit to Weyane today is a part of the effort to see to it that some of the activities which have been undertaken in parts of Tigray to ensure that the peace efforts in this region have paid off is quite significant in the sense that it will give us an opportunity to assess and of course look more ways into revitalizing whatever activities and whatever support intervention models have been undertaken by the UNDP. On our part, the interim administration could not stress enough the need to continue to work with our partners, including the UNDP, in ensuring that whatever efforts have been undertaken are really in the best interest of our people. And of course, not just the issue of returning IDPs, but also doing so in the framework, within the context of the Durable Solutions Network framework. Hopefully, the combined efforts of the partners, including, of course, UNDP in this regard, would be quite instrumental in seeing to it that this framework works in the best interest of our people. Last week I also had last week I had the opportunity to see representatives of UN Mine Action Service people, and I would expect representative here to chip in the efforts of mine clearing activities in this region. And the cost of the war has been a steep one, but especially when it comes to places where we still continue to suffer the consequences of unexploded ordnances, I think it would be. I would call on not just the EU but also member countries to be part of the effort to find resources for the project. Well, you know, there are many areas in Ethiopia that have been affected, but Tigray is the worst affected, of course, in this regard, and then of course I would expect some sort of support here. All in all, I know of so many school rehabilitation projects and rehabilitation projects of rehabilitation activities in parts of Tigray that have benefited what affected schools and other social services, social institutions. I think it would behoove us to continue to work together to try and build on what has been done so far. And of course, in light of the enormity of the challenge we continue to face in this regard, it would be my humble request for the UNDP and its partners to continue to scale up the level of their support in this regard. And of course, I can continue on and on, but I have to say once again that welcome to the region, and of course have to express my gratitude to what you have been doing so far. But in light of the enormity of the challenge, more needs to be done, and it's my hope and expectation that more will be done. And thank you once again, Mr. Ambassador. All right.
Finland during the different stages.
You worked for Tigray.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. And then, of course, now and also then like the cessation of hostilities, everything what the different tracks that the Pretoria Agreement brought along. Evidently, it is then a different story when you come and see it, and you meet different actors, and really it sinks in like what this the conflict truly meant. And we saw the schools, the school that has been now renovated. We met also with officials who are dealing with and the impact and implications of violence against women, but also men during these 2 years. And this is so many human tragedies, and also like on the violence against women and men. Of course, this is something that it is so important to address and to ensure that the victims can be part of the society and build it up. So in that way, many useful discussions, and of course then the work that the UNDP is doing together with the European Union and the partners here, with the ambassador of the Netherlands, the deputy ambassador of Germany, we have a team leader from the UK embassy, and others who couldn't come, that evidently this is support for all the work that is done in close collaboration with the regional government. The tracks also on the national dialogue, transitional justice, and also the DDR, that we see that this is all part of the big approach now to get find ways also to like more peaceful engagement. So with this, big thanks truly for this possibility to meet. I definitely will report back to Brussels about your requests for more support. In this context, the EU is specifically working on the DDR, but as said, also the national dialogue and transitional justice as important frameworks. And with your permission, I will give the floor to the ambassador of the Netherlands.
And receiving us, it felt like a warm welcome as soon as we arrived at the airport. And as my colleague from the EU is saying, I read about the war in Tigray. It was far from my bed. My bed was in Costa Rica, where I was the ambassador. But being here, I cannot strengthen enough how much that means to me. To see the people, to listen to the people, to hear what they have lived through, the women in particular, when it comes to gender-based violence, but also to seeing the opportunities to rebuild things. The school, the court, we went to a police station, and these meetings and listening and seeing is indeed much more worth than reading in a book. So it is really important to be here. My first time in Tigray. You can count on us. If you ask us for more, I will definitely report it back. I think the challenge for us as an embassy, we are bilaterally working in health, in agriculture, and in food and nutrition, as well as in water. And I think the challenge for us is maybe not necessarily to do more, but to do better. and see if we can, as you are saying, if you talk about durable solutions, we are also a large partner when it comes to humanitarian aid, but really see if we can connect what we do sector-wide and what we do in the regions where the durable solutions are needed. Happy to be here with the EU and the UN. Those are important partners for us. And it's really good also to do such a trip together, because together in the end, we are also stronger. Thank you.
And definitely not the last time, because it's a beautiful area, and I really like coming here, and definitely see also the progress which has been achieved over this year. I've been following up on this. Germany is very happy to support the peace support facility, which we have been supporting so far with 40 million euros. And it was reconforting to see all the results which we could see with our own eyes today. And I'm very pleased that we are here in a group of a number of countries and the EU to see what is going on, because I think one thing is always to put money in some pots and to allocate funds here and there, but then really to make the difference on the ground. I think this is important, and we are very grateful to UNDP for this cooperation, because we could see that not only UNDP, but in cooperation with all the Woredas and Cabellas, that there's really a change going on, and a situation to the better for the people, for the students we saw today at school, for the judges in their courthouse. And I think this is very important. Let me pick up one point you mentioned with mine action. Ethiopia has become one of our worldwide priority countries in terms of mine action service, in terms of support to mine action, because of the war in northern Ethiopia. And we are very happy that thanks to the Ministry of Defense, it is now possible for NGOs to work in the country, and we have already a project going on in support of this, of mine action service. Thank you.
For security, and of course provision of other services. And I know for a fact even the Dutch, the Germans have been very active in supporting some of the flagship projects which had been discontinued as a result of the war. And it's always eye-opening, as it were, for you to come and see for yourself what has happened to Tigray, and the story of the destruction that you might have heard from probably one of the most peaceful corners of the world, Costa Rica, would pale in comparison. And it's always good to come here and see for yourself the level of destruction, and of course, the kind of hope, even the smallest of contributions, the smallest of interventions would have in changing the lives of people. We don't expect international aid to turn everything around, but it will give us an opportunity to pick up wherever we left off. That's the kind of contribution it will have, of course, in areas that matter most. The destruction of infrastructure in agriculture, in water and sanitation services is quite enormous, and of course these are priority areas. And I think it's entirely appropriate that you focus on those areas, and we still continue to count on the kind of support that not just UNDP but also other organizations. With regard to the mine action thing, like I told you, we continue to suffer the most. Our schools are either occupied by IDPs or they have once served as warehouses for stockpiles of ordnances, as well as even targets of bombardments. And we continue to face almost a day-to-day occurrence of explosions, and any concerted effort to address this issue of mines is quite critical, not just to avoid avoidable deaths and maiming of civilians, but more importantly to ensure that education, and of course the very squalid conditions in which IDPs live is somehow addressed. But the most important focus for us is the return of IDPs to where they belong. DDR, we have been undertaking this case, except for the lack of resources. We have always been consistent in our commitment to the disarmament and demobilization. It's not only because it is part of the cessation of hostilities agreement, but more importantly for us, we have larger numbers of combatants than we could possibly afford to take care of. And we need all the resources, and I have reason to believe that of late there have been progress in this regard, and I do hope and expect the EU and its partners to continue to be part of this process, and we'll continue to not just express our commitment, but to call on the international community to put its money where its mouth is, as it were, and we'll hopefully get things done this few couple of weeks, of course, the next couple of weeks. But still, the security situation in Tigray is part of the equation, which means return of IDPs would require that the security situation in areas in Western Tigray and Northwestern Tigray is conducive enough for the return of IDPs. I mean, it would be very foolhardy for us to expect IDPs to return when the very people who caused their displacement in the first place are still roaming the very streets where we saw carnage only 3-4 years ago. So we still call on the international community to continue to support us, the AU, the federal government, to discharge their part of the responsibility in this regard. And of course, in the case of whatever projects we are going to undertake with the support of the international community, we have to make sure that I know NGOs will have a role, and of course we applaud that, including in the case of mines. But part of the effort to rehabilitate government institutions would simply mean that rather than going for parallel structures of delivering services, local institutions need to be supported in a manner that ensures that the rehabilitation efforts in the region are really incremental. So our focus is simple. We need to return our IDPs. Of course, the context in which we are looking forward to welcoming the representatives of the UN and probably the federal government as well, and this durable solutions framework is because it means a lot when it comes to improving the lot of our IDPs, and their return and their expeditious return is quite critical if you're going to really say that peace has paid off. Otherwise, some of the situation on the ground is quite untenable, and of course, we expect the international community to exert pressure. And our other focus areas are improving the livelihood of people, ensuring that people are given the opportunity to feed themselves, to maintain some sort of self-reliance, economically speaking, both in terms of agriculture and the provision of health services such as social services such as education and health. Any support in this regard would be more than welcome, and it's our hope and expectation that your orientation is often towards those priorities. I once again thank you, the delegation, for you to share your thoughts with us. But the most important focus should be on making sure that whatever promises are made are indeed delivered. And I have every confidence that this will indeed be in schools. Schools have all but been totally destroyed. So the whole idea of school feeding is even more important in Tigray than elsewhere in Ethiopia. I know recently I was asked by the Ministry of Education to earmark a significant amount of resources for a school feeding program. It's very unfortunate that there is little in the way of that luxury as far as we're concerned. But we count on the support of many embassies, many international organizations in this regard, and I think would definitely be a good idea to really focus on this part of our challenge. And thank you for raising that in this regard. And of course, other areas, I have told you, we have the commitment. We need all the resources to fully implement these programs. But with regard to the return of IDPs, of course, it is our sincere commitment to a negotiated settlement. Not, but the situation in many ways is proving untenable unless some progress is achieved. And soon, it's not entirely clear if the status quo can be maintained for far too long. But again, yeah, we'll continue to work with the federal government and our international partners in ensuring that this is indeed the case and is done expeditiously. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah. It was a pleasure.